Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Maple Leafs fans, welcome back to Game Over Toronto. My name is Lauren. On this hand side of the screen is Zach Payne. And the Toronto Maple Leafs have just taken both games at home against the Florida Panthers, against all odds, against both of our playoff predictions of how the series was going to go. They managed to win a one-goal game in Game 1. They managed to win a one-goal game in Game 2 and head to Florida with a 2-0 series lead. Welcome to Game Over Toronto again. My name is Lauren. On the other hand side of the screen is Zach. If you could hit like and subscribe right before we jump into everything, it would go a long way. We had more viewers last stream than we've had in a very long time. So appreciate you being here. And we're going to talk all about the game. We're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, and all the ins and outs of that. So, Zach, it's an exciting time to be a Maple Leafs fan, man.
Oh, man. And you know what? There's been a lot of talk about the contrast between this series and the 2023 series against Florida. And oh my Lord, it is so much more fun to be on this side of the 2-0 series lead going to Florida. Back-to-back series, the Leafs have taken care of business at home and gone up 2-0. And for the second straight series, you are putting your opponent in a must-win Game 3, which is a beautiful place to be. Man, I don't know about you guys in the chat watching right now. If there is anyone that doesn't have the passion or doesn't believe at this point, you got to start getting on the bandwagon, man. It is going to be full pretty darn soon.
I'm wearing my favorite Leafs jersey right now and everything, my reverse retro from a couple years ago. And I'll tell you, Zach, this is my third year streaming for Game Over, and I have never covered a second round playoff win. it is quite a nice feeling.
You weren't in charge for the lone win against Florida last time.
I don't think I was. No. And I'll tell you, like, just how the Leafs were playing tonight, going into this series, I think all of us on Game Over and most Leaf fans were expecting it to be a difficult series, right? We were expecting it to be super physical, having a hard time with the forecheck, like you said right before we went live. And that's all still true. But against all odds, including Vegas odds, the Leafs are not only hanging, but they are hanging goals on the Florida Panthers. They are hanging goals on Bobrovsky. They are capitalizing on their opportunities. They are doing the right things defensively. They are getting solid goaltending all the way across the board. Knock on wood, everybody. The boys in blue on Bay Street are back, and boy, does it feel good to say that. And really quickly, just in case some of you don't have the passion, I just have 3 words for you. Let's fucking go! Yeah, man. How can you not be romantic about hockey right now?
Oh man, this is a beautiful time to be alive. Like just the vibe shift. Like, we talk about so many differences with this year's Leafs. This team is different and all that. To be able to go into a playoff game at home and expect a Leafs win is such a weird feeling, because the Leafs under Sheldon Keefe were actually horrifying on home ice. Like, they were genuinely just terrible. I think they only won Game 6 last year, so they were 1-2. The year before, against Florida and Tampa, they won Game 2 against Tampa, and then they lost the other 5 on home ice. Like, they've been horrible on home ice, and now in these playoffs so far, 4-1. Absolutely spectacular. Love to see it from the Buds. Love to see what Berube has brought to this team, and we'll talk about the Berube effect a little bit later as we get into the game recap. But, man, just off the bat, how can you, like you said, how can you not be romantic about this sport, and how can you not be feeling fantastic right now? Yeah.
I feel as good, if not better, than I did in the Ottawa series. Don't get me wrong. When we went up 3-0, we were all feeling pretty hot. We knew that they were going to push back. Just like I'm positive that when we go back to Florida on Friday, there's going to be a lot of pushback. It's going to be a very aggressive game, and I would expect that. But like you said, man, like, against all odds, like, they're doing everything right that they have to, and it is a good time to be a fan of this team right here. It is a good time
And even
to be a Maple Leafs fan.
even when they face adversity, every single time
Yep.
in these playoffs, they've bounced back.
Yep.
You know, in round one, you have a 2-0 lead in game 2 against Ottawa. Oh, you blow that. They tie it up late in the third. Okay, you get back on offense and you score the overtime winner. In game 3, you go down and all the momentum's against you.
Yep.
You come back and then you same thing, like a bad goal against goes to overtime. You find a way to win. You play your worst game of the season in game 5 against Ottawa. You bounce back in game 6 and play fantastic, win the series.
Yep.
Game 1, all of a sudden Anthony Stolarz gets knocked out of the game and possibly the series.
Yep.
And the Panthers start rallying. Doesn't matter. You find a way to win. And this game, lot of weird moments in this game, but it doesn't matter. They find a way to get a lead, hold a lead, and all of a sudden the boys in blue are up 2-0.
Yeah, man. I actually think that the Leafs, even though they played really well in game 1, I actually think that they played a better game tonight than they did the other night. Just in terms of like the puck battles, in terms of their ability to clear the puck and take advantage of turnovers was like, it was so good. It was so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like the thing is, the Leafs ran over the Panthers in the first 40 minutes of game 1, and that was not the Florida Panthers that were playing tonight. Florida was never going to play that poorly the whole series. So when you adjust for how good the opponent was tonight, I can get on board with this being a more impressive win.
Yeah, and it may be equally, if not more important, because you do get the confidence of winning both games at home. And whether or not they admit it, the Florida Panthers maybe are looking around the room feeling a little bit differently than the Leafs are. And you talk about the Berube effect, and we're going to break down the game in just a second. I'm just so jazzed about this. We talk about the Berube effect, and after each Leafs win, they're putting out these 80-second long shorts about the thing where they put the puck and the shield and the blah, 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 and it's all very cute. And you know what I really liked about last game was that Chris Tanev literally takes the puck and goes, okay, boys, we're going to enjoy this about 5 minutes and then move on. As opposed to in years past when they've won a game, they're all Mark Savard on the bench, right? They're all losing their shit because they've won a single game. And now they're like, great, we won a game. Cool. Next. And it just we've never seen that level of maturity from the boys before.
And the other thing, too, is I know, Lauren, you've been off for a couple of games here, so you didn't get to talk about this after they beat Ottawa. But you win game 6, and Matthews gives the puck to Lawton, and he's like, boys, we're going to enjoy it for tonight. And Berube said this, too. Enjoy it for tonight. You earned it. You enjoyed the celebration. And then tomorrow we're on to Florida. Whereas last time, when they beat Tampa, they were drinking beer in the locker room after the game. Like Chris Johnston was tweeting out, oh, another case of Bud Light just went into the Leafs locker room. Like just completely different attitudes, and they obviously Savard. We point out, I think we pointed this out in the first round where he has the big celebrations, and Berube is like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, because
the Leafs have bigger aspirations this year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't you score a power play goal in game 1 against Ottawa. Why are you celebrating?
Yeah,
we have bigger goals than this, so it's really refreshing to just see, like you said, the level of maturity from this team, and. It's been spectacular.
And it seems like it's sort of up and down the locker room, right? It's not just a couple guys. Like, even Austin Matthews was like, okay, here we go. And pushing forward, we're going to enjoy this and then move on and we're going to work even harder. Like, the difference in mentality is unbelievable. Like, at no point when the Leafs have been down have they seemed flustered, have they seemed out of place, have they seemed like they're cheating for offense. They're sticking to their game, and it's creating opportunity, and they're being able to capitalize on it. It's so good. We have 11 people in the chat. If you could just really quickly hit like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. Yeah, man. Okay, so let's break down the game because this is going to be a long stream if we haven't even talked about it yet. So
let's do it.
Woll makes a really great first save, and the Leafs get the first of many power plays to start with Kulikov getting an interference. Knies gets a really good chance, but they can't capitalize on anything. Woll makes a really big save on Kachuk after that, and then Marchand takes a tripping penalty, and then draws a tripping penalty right after that, and of course Sasha Barkov scores 5 seconds into their penalty. That's what he does.
We are flying through this. Hold on. We gotta break things down for a little bit. So, first things first. Yeah, like you said, underratedly, Joseph Woll had to make the first big save of the game in the first opening moments of this, and after game one, there's a little bit of anxiety around him. Even around after this game, I'm not sure people are going to be totally sold on Joseph Woll. He's still finding his legs and getting
Sure.
into this series, but
moving a lot in the net.
but he definitely getting that first big save was very key. Just settle things down, and then the Leafs, it wasn't the best start for the Leafs. They got some chances here and there, but they weren't like obviously the goals in game one helped that, but they weren't getting the quality of chances they were to start game one, and it definitely was a lot more of a feeling out process to open this one. The power plays to start, the Kulikov penalty, they almost didn't call that, which.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the refs at some point, I'm sure, because they really lost control of this game in the second period. But Kulikov takes one, and then Marchand, they almost don't call that because it's a tripping, but it wasn't with his stick. He gets a slew foot on John Tavares moments after slew footing Joseph Woll behind the net on the first penalty kill. And then the second the Leafs didn't score on those two power plays, you knew that one, the Panthers were going to get a power play because the refs are going to look to call one in Toronto. And two, you're probably going to get scored on because you earned this fate for yourself. And Marchand with, I know people are calling it a dive. It's just a veteran move. Wait till the last second to dodge a hit and then leave your legs there so that the legs are the only thing that gets taken out. Like it's a sell job to an extent, but it's not even so much like, oh, he dove. It's just he knew exactly when to jump out of the way so that he would get tripped.
Yeah. Well, and on the power plays, the first one especially, the Leafs got a couple really good chances, but then they couldn't get back in the zone. And then on the second power play, they got a couple of really, really good looks, and they just couldn't bury them.
Much
and
better.
It felt like, it was a significant improvement. And it felt like they were really building momentum, but then, like you said, it goes the other way, and Florida capitalizes 5 seconds in, and it's sort of, oh no. But it's not the kind of oh no in years past where it feels like, oh God, here it comes. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel insurmountable, and it at no point have the Leafs struggled. They've struggled to bury opportunities, but not because of lack of opportunities. They just haven't gotten a lot of bounces. Or the series, the game the other night could have been way drastically the other direction, but they were still winning. They're still in it, and chasing a 1 or 2 goal lead is not an impossibility, and it's not like the Leafs are going to give up another goal trying to get that offense.
And admittedly, this is not reflective of the team, because obviously the team is not like the Sheldon Keefe Leafs that get emotional in games.
Sure.
As a fan, there were definitely times in this game where I'm like, okay, this is going to start pulling it away, and they start getting the forecheck going. It's like, oh, here we go. And then every single time, it'd be like a few minutes of that, and then the Leafs would settle back in. It's like, okay, this is just the ebbs and flows of the game. Because, look, you're playing against the defending Stanley Cup champs, the best playoff team remaining.
Yep.
There's going to be times in the game where they hem you in. They're too good to, you're not going to dominate every single moment of playoff hockey. That's just not how it works.
That way.
Especially with the final 8. Obviously, when you have some worse teams in the first round, you can separate the less serious, LA after the first 2 games. Yeah, Edmonton just ran their they
show.
Weren't serious, right? That kind of example, or the Blues in the overtime of Game 7, where they just completely ran out of gas, and the Jets, it was just a matter of time for them scoring, right? You can tell when there's serious teams and less serious teams, but in the second round, there are no unserious teams, right?
No.
Everyone here deserves to be here. So you're going to get hemmed in at parts of the game. It's just about weathering those storms. The Leafs had a few survival shifts, especially in the third period.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, they just kept finding a way back.
Yeah. And then, they go down 1-0, 5 seconds into the Cats power play. The Leafs only had 3 shots on goal with 7 minutes to go. But as we've learned through this playoffs, shots on goal does not matter. The Leafs actually, in more games that they've won, they have had fewer shots on goal. So I saw that, and initially I was like, that's kind of disturbing. But it didn't matter because before the end of the period, Kulikov takes another penalty, the delay game with the puck going over the glass, and the Leafs not able to get Austin Matthews the puck. Their entry was crap. I swear to God, Zach, I could hear you because you and I know how we feel about that entry method.
I was gonna say I could hear you every time the Leafs and Mitch Marner. We could talk about this a little bit later too, but I could tease the segment. I have a lot of gripes with Mitch Marner's lack of urgency on the zone entries. Way too many times, like there was, I think it was on one of the first period power plays where, well, it had to be because all of them were in the first period, but the puck came out and Marner gets it in between the red line and the Leafs blue line, and the entire all 9 others or 8 other skaters are in the Panthers zone.
Yeah.
No one is set up. All Marner has to do is attack. He'll get it right back in because the Panthers aren't set up. Leafs are already at the blue line, and then we get back to work. And instead, he kind of just, lackadaisically goes back into the Leafs end, and then he waits, and then he charges up, then he drops it to Nylander and Matthews. And it's like, you just wasted 15 to 20 seconds to set up. Both the penalty kill gets to set up in the neutral zone, and now you don't have any speed going into the zone entry because you didn't feel confident enough, which for no reason. You're one of the best stick handlers in the world, like puck handlers in the world. Just attack, man. It's so a lot of frustration on the zone entries. Every time they drop it back, I kind of hear you like grumbling about that and being like, what are you doing?
Listen,
but
from the very first game over I ever did, that double drop back entry, I have wanted to put my head through a window. Oh my God.
Yep.
But in spite of that,
to credit the second unit, what did they not do? They didn't reload.
No.
Max Domi and Bobby McMahon, they gain speed, they dump it in, and they go hit someone.
Yeah.
They get in on the forecheck, they go in a battle, and they get the puck to the point. And Max frickin' Pacioretty, I don't even know what to call it. The best veteran, like, I don't even know how to describe the presence and the aura he's had these last, I think it was 8 periods, the stat was that he's got all of his points. What did you see on that goal, and what are your thoughts on Max Pacioretty?
Well, first of all, what a play. Hi, Cholula. The tough thing is that, well, the good thing, actually, so far this series is that the Leafs have gotten so many assists and so many goals from their defense. Going into the playoffs, we had the lowest scoring offense produced by our defense in the entire league. It has been a sore spot in every single playoffs every year. The fact that the Leafs do not get enough scoring on their back end, whether it is a goal or an assist. And Morgan Rielly does what is always a good idea and sort of floats a puck down close to the bottom, like right along the ice. And Max Pacioretty with just an unbelievable tip. Like, he has to be, like, if the voting was able to be extended through the playoffs, like, you have to imagine that he would be a candidate for, like, the Masterton Trophy. If the Leafs go far, like,
it's tricky because the league, the Masterton Trophy isn't supposed to be the comeback from adversity award,
right?
So, like, it's not the comeback player of the year like the NFL has, where it's basically
best,
just
like,
who had a big injury. Yeah, so I mean, Pacioretty does have a hell of a story. The problem is he was also hurt for like the entire regular season. I know the Leafs used their LTIR shenanigans at the end of the year to kind of be like, yeah, he's still hurt, wink wink, because they couldn't afford to bring him back from LTIR. But and you know what, I also want to credit this. Not only was it a beautiful deflection goal and he went to the net, all that, but also he immediately, if he wasn't sure that it went in, he buries the rebound anyways, just in case it wasn't in. Just a smart veteran play. He's like, you know what, I'm not taking chances, I'm gonna put this in the net. So absolutely fantastic. Matt Wilkins, is it okay to feel good yet? Matt, it is more than okay to feel the passion right now. You should feel good right now.
Veins.
This is the most amount of playoff wins the Leafs have had in this era. You absolutely should feel good. Even if that is a pathetic statement, you deserve to feel good.
Hey, man, little victories are little victories. And you can't win the Stanley Cup on Friday, but you can get yourself another step closer if you can manage to scrape out another win in Florida. Right? You can't assume that every single game is the game of your life. Like, it is to a degree, but it's about, and something that the Leafs have done really well is so far this whole series, is they have been managed to, like, compartmentalize when things go wrong and not let it affect them and just stick to their game and keep playing and keep putting pressure on. Like tonight, I mean, we're only at the first intermission, essentially, right? Like, Patches essentially scores with 101 seconds to go. They managed to go into the first intermission tied 1-1. The shots were 6-5 for Florida. So
Yeah,
even though,
pretty mid first period.
yeah, but it was good hockey. At no point was it dull. At no point was it a slog to watch. If anything,
Yeah.
like the more the game went on, the faster the game seemed to go. Even though the game ended like weirdly late tonight. But going into the second period, Marchand essentially has a big hit to finish, and then starts the second period off with a goal 15 seconds in, and essentially the same spot over for Joseph Woll as Barkov did. It was essentially like a really bad Leafs turnover. And the Panthers
Horrible
capitalized.
from Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. He
giveth and
swings
taketh.
behind his own net, and then just way too weak on the backhand up the right boards. You either need to get air on that, or you need to put a lot more effort into it, or just skate it out. You have the legs to do it. Just way too soft there from Riley. Carlo then has to scramble to recover to take out Lundell, but then Marchand's left all alone. Like you said, would like a save there. Okay. So Joseph Woll on the first goal, he gets a little bit too far in to the right in his net. Tanev is also screening him, which is why he had to do that. Okay, like not explicitly your fault, but it's whatever. And then this one, it's like, okay, I know he's alone in front, but I kind of wish you had. You have to have one of them.
Yeah.
You can't give up both of those. You have to save one of them. And look, he bailed the Leafs out later in this game, and he made up for it, and the Leafs win, so that's all that matters. But those are the moments where you're like, okay, Joseph Woll is not quite all the way there yet. Like, he's still kind of finding his rhythm in this series.
Yeah, man. I mean, he didn't play for 24 days. Like, imagine taking basically a calendar month of business days off from your job and going back and having to give a 3-hour-long presentation and ace it. Right? Like, that's essentially what we're asking.
And you know what?
Sorry, go ahead.
He's done himself a disservice, because he's done this multiple times before and done it so well that the bar for him coming in relief in a playoff series is so unrealistically high. His overall save percentage in his playoff career is still going to be like a 925 after this, like these past 2 games. So he's been fine. He's been perfect.
Yeah.
It's been good enough to win,
yeah.
and that's all that matters. But for those, and I had a small hope that it's like, oh, maybe we'll get the same version of Woll that we got against Boston last year. That's a little extreme, but maybe he gets to that. We know he has that potential. So for as much as Bobrovsky has the potential to just steal a game this series, Woll also has that potential. It's just not as likely as the guy who's won a Stanley Cup, won multiple Vezinas, is going to the Hall of Fame, all that. So, Woll has to have one of those 2 goals, though.
Yeah, and especially because they were essentially both scored on the exact same spot on him, just right below the blocker, right above the blocker, below the glove, right, like just below his leg pad, essentially, just above his leg pad, and that backhand, like, man, Marchand's got a good. They said it on the broadcast. I had no idea he had the most backhands in the league since he entered it. Did you know that?
I mean, that's a long time, so it's not that.
I guess.
I don't know. Like, he does have a good backhand.
I didn't realize he did it so frequently. Apparently,
I guess it does make sense if you because he's always in and around the net. So I could buy that, especially because he's the oldest player in the playoffs remaining. He's 37, so
right.
Just the longevity aspect, but look, good player. He was up to his antics in the first, and then he scores a goal. And this kind of did have a little bit of a sense of like, is this going to be a Brad Marchand playoff game against the Leafs? The same that he's done for so many years. Thankfully, wasn't, but
got close there for a minute. But then just a couple minutes later, thank goodness, about 3.5 minutes later, William Nylander ties it up with a really nice goal after another wonderful play from Max Pacioretty. Essentially a really nice 2-on-1. Willie has 5 goals in the last 3 games. He has just been unbelievable. In game 5, it was probably his worst playoff game as a Leaf.
All the core had a horrible
night. Yeah. But him specifically, he was really struggling. But game 6 and then game 1 and 2, he's gone back to the form that we've expected him to be. Oh, man.
This is playoff Willie. Like, Dom and I talked about this after game 1, where through the first round, even game 6, like, that was his best outing, but it didn't feel like Nylander was taking over games. Yeah, we're starting to see true playoff Willie. Playoff Mo as well had a nice moment later, but Max Pacioretty, I think I told you this offline, Lauren, he is the king of being mostly mid and then having 2 or 3 truly game-breaking plays like he did to set up this Nylander goal. And by the way, beautiful chip by Nylander.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not a fancy move, not a crazy shot. He just gets the puck in the middle. There's a defender right on his tail, just a little chip over the glove. And this is a side note. We talked about Joseph Woll's glove. The Leafs have been really attacking Sergei Bobrovsky's glove side as well. High glove every time. We saw Matthew Nyes on the breakaway go high glove. Domi in game 1 had a breakaway that he shot high glove that got stopped. Nylander on his
knee shot.
second goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second goal in game 1 goes high glove, and then this one high glove again. So I don't know if that's the book on Bobrovsky, but the Leafs, when they're in tight, I think it's because Bobrovsky is so good in tight around the net that they know they have to lift the puck. So they're really trying to elevate, and it's been working so far.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Like, in years past, especially against Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Leafs did a really good job of sort of exploiting his weaknesses. And you can tell that, like, the video coaches did their homework and sat these boys down and were like, listen, if you're going to get in on Bobrovsky, this is what you need to do. Because in other times, the last time the Leafs faced the Panthers, they were barely able to get a goal against Bob. And now it's like, you know, for them to get 4 in the last 2 games at least is, like, wild, man. Like, holy cow.
Game 2, again, in 2023, John Tavares had like 45 breakaways and just couldn't score because the Leafs kept going low. They kept trying to go low. But that also, like, Bobrovsky has, I said it a few minutes ago, he has the potential to steal a game, but the Leafs are doing a fantastic job of making him look human so far and capitalizing on their chances, especially off the rush, which, well, again, we'll talk about later on, but that is the book on how to beat the Panthers. Yeah. And they got another one later in the game.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the Scott Laughton hit on Evan Rodriguez that was called for embellishment. The Schmidt roughing, the Laughton roughing. It's still 5-on-5 despite all those silly penalties. And then Holmberg takes the tripping penalty right after that. Matthew Nyes giving another example of why I'm going to buy his jersey in the offseason.
Hold on, we got to talk about the refs. We got to talk about the refs.
You want to do that now? I was going to leave that for the next segment, like a separate thing.
Okay, we could do that, but then I'll just say this. The refs completely lost the control of the game at this point. The Holmberg mess, Seth Jones beaming him in the head away from the play, and then Holmberg takes a retaliatory penalty. Like, goofy, but it was the most obvious makeup call of all time because that embellishment, I said in game 1, the Domi phantom crosscheck was the worst call I've ever seen. That phantom embellishment might be up there as well. Like, couple of horrible calls in this series so far.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the refs a little bit separately after we finish talking about the game because I know that's probably like the biggest focal point of the game aside from the Leafs playing so well was the fact that the game got away. So we're going to save that for the second period, so make sure you stick around for that. Also, even though we usually leave the questions for the overtime period, if you have any questions or anything that you want us to talk about, anything we've missed, please make sure to put it down there. If you could hit like and subscribe, it would go a long way. And so going, this is halfway through the second period now. Holmberg gets a really, he gets taken down, and from that moment on, the crowd was the 6th player on the ice.
So the energy was fantastic. Man on ice.
They were the 7th man on the ice tonight. Those fans.
Full credit to the crowd. The crowd was unbelievable.
Yeah. The loudest I've heard Scotiabank in a very, very long time. And that gets that essentially doesn't get called. There's another really good play by Domi McMahon. They came so close so many times tonight. And then with 2:51 to go, Max Domi gets a really, really nice goal. Man, two game winners, not game winners, but two unbelievably important goals. Yeah, timely goals that you need. And he's just like, it. I know he had him in the playoffs before, but like, he's playing better than I've seen him.
We know that he steps up in the playoffs. I have to call myself out though. So this was after a TV timeout. The Leafs have a defensive zone draw, and the first thing I see when the game comes back on is Matthew Tkachuk for the Panthers, and Max Domi is in the faceoff dot. And I start losing my mind. I text my group chat. I'm like, in all caps, why is Domi on against Tkachuk in a defensive zone draw? Then I find out Domi is out with Laughton and Lorentz, which is just the weirdest. I'm like, okay, is Calle Jarnkrok hurt? But why is Domi taking the faceoff instead of Laughton? Like, what is going on here? And that might be my fastest cold take of all time. Shout out playoff Morgan Riley. Yeah. Shout out Steven Lorentz with a beautiful pass to set him up. And you know what? I just saw this quote. This seems like a great time to bring this up.
Yeah.
Brad Marchand on I don't know what the question was, but it seems like every time we gave them an opportunity to get above us, they created something or capitalized on it. It shows how dangerous they are. It doesn't take much for them to score. We have to make sure we're pretty much perfect on defensive coverage. And that's what you see. The Panthers are so aggressive. The book on these guys is to counterattack and get rush opportunities. This play, a defender gets too cute at the Leafs blue line, back the other way. Riley, Lorentz, 2-on-1 over Domi, and just a perfect shot. It's crazy, man. The rush chances that the Leafs have been able to generate in this series so far, that's 2 more in this game. Nylander had his second goal.
Yep.
Nyes had a breakaway. Morgan Riley had a clear-cut 2-on-1. The Leafs have gotten numerous rush chances, and they're making good on them.
Yeah.
So full credit to them. They clearly had a game plan against Florida. Having 3 days off before the series started was also clearly very helpful.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And that's just it, right? Like, going into this series and in the last 2 years, when the Panthers have gone on these deep runs, that's how the Panthers have been able to play, is getting those opportunities, turning them over, getting them up the ice quick, and then capitalizing them on it. And the Leafs in the last couple of years have struggled in the playoffs because teams are playing their own game against them. And now Toronto is playing what seems like Florida's game against them, and they aren't able to keep up. It's like, I didn't have this on the cards, man. Like, this was not on my bingo card for the series. And I'm so delighted that I was wrong.
I'll fully hold my hand up and say that I was wrong so far at this point too, because coming into this series, I thought the Panthers' forecheck and aggression would be too much for the Leafs to handle, and I thought special teams would be where the Leafs could stay within the series. So far, the special teams has been heavily tilted in Florida's favor. Like, even both teams scored a power play goal tonight, but the Leafs' top unit has a lot of soul searching to do over the next 48 hours to start figuring some things out. So, and they've been controlling play 5-on-5. Like, the Leafs have been doing a really good job 5-on-5, which was not on my bingo card. Yes, the Panthers have some guys beat up. Barkov is playing hurt. Kachuk is playing hurt. But who cares? It's not my fault that those guys are hurt. Like, you have to, you can only play the opponents that are in front of you. So, and the Leafs are playing hurt too. Chris Tanev, he got his shoulder banged up in this game. So hopefully he's okay. Get some ice on that. You're not going to be healthy in the playoffs, so you just got to take advantage of the matchups. And the Leafs are doing a fantastic job schematically. And the other thing I have to quickly mention is we knew that the Panthers' forecheck would be a thing. The Leafs love their stretch passes. Have not seen nearly as many as we did in the regular season in these matchups. The Leafs are doing a great job keeping forwards low for easy breakouts, and it has done wonders for them.
Yeah. It's been so good to see. And then, so that's how we go into the second intermission. Toronto up 3-2. Shots were in favor of Florida, 17-14. And then in the third period, Woll makes... We're already 35 minutes in here, so I'm going to sort of speed through the third period a little bit. Woll makes a really good stop, 28 seconds in. The third line with Lawton comes so close again. Lundell ends up scoring on a pass from Ekblad and Luosterainen, all alone on the side of the net. Like, Woll can't get there fast enough. Yeah. Absolutely. He didn't have the best night, but he wasn't. That's the only real bad play. But they capitalize on it.
And that line is so good.
Yeah, and the Leafs have sort of struggled against them the whole series. But 17 seconds later, newly minted father Mitch Marner, with an M on his stick for his son Miles, with 14:10 to go, just an unbelievable, essentially like a knuckle puck from 8 feet within the blue line. And it just goes above Bob's blocker side from McCabe and Matthews, and the whole barn just erupts. And it just felt like the Leafs, after that, it was just, they were just shaving the clock down. But at no point did they take their foot off the gas, despite the fact that they were up. At no point
fantastic forecheck.
Yes, at no point were they just sitting back, dumping it back in the Panthers zone and letting them come after it. They were creating opportunities. They were still driving play. They were still putting pressure on the Panthers all the way up until 4 minutes left to go in the period. And it was just
it was the Panthers' game plan.
Yeah, you could look up, you could watch the game, and every time the whistle blew, the Panthers were looking at the clock, looking at the clock.
Talk.
Tick tock, tick tock. And that's how the game ends.
And look, real quick, the Leafs, the Panthers did this to the Leafs. It was a game back in March where the Panthers had a 3-2 lead against the Leafs in Toronto, and the entire third period they're in on the forecheck. They're not creating anything, but what are they doing? Tick talk,
Yep.
tick tock, wasting time. So the Leafs get them back. I do want to say quickly on the Marner goal, shout out Sasha Barkov for an impeccable screen on that play, but also back-to-back games that Bob has given up a stinker from the right point. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Hopefully the Leafs continue to exploit that too. And yeah, the Leafs were still pushing. The Nyes almost gets one, but they just weren't sitting back. Woll was making the good saves. Wonderwall was great all night.
One fantastic one. Oh, with his right pad.
Yeah.
Spread eagle. Beautiful.
Game saver there. I just put Woll making saves but needs some help. Nyes can't clear the puck, and then 2:55 Bob was out. They were just shaving the clock down 60 seconds, 40 seconds. The Leafs iced it twice with 33 seconds to go, 24 seconds.
Yeah.
And then
it was death by 1,000 icings at the end there.
Yeah.
But you say Woll needed help? Jake McCabe, there was a play in the crease. The puck gets loose, and Jake McCabe swats that thing away to the corner. Shout out McCabe. That top pair was unbelievable. Tanev had another one where I think it was Verhaeghe or Reinhardt on the side of the net, and Tanev with that turnaround swat at the puck saved a goal as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how the game ends. That's how the game ends. 4-3. Again, the Leafs scoring, hanging 5 on Bobrovsky in 9 in Bobrovsky in 2 games. You can't ask for a better start than that from the Leafs. So really quickly, let's move over into the second period. We're already at 40 minutes here, bud. So let's talk about what we've been wanting to talk about all night, and talk about how in the second period, the Leafs and the Panthers essentially started a war that the refs refused to try and put a stop to. They put their whistles away. I don't know if I've ever seen a game with so many obviously missed and skipped penalties just because.
Yeah, it got really out of hand after. So it all starts with that Rodriguez phantom embellishment, which Paul Maurice was complaining after the game that he just said he never got an explanation from the refs on what happened there. Rodriguez goes to the room and gets a penalty for it. I don't know what happened there. So the refs obviously recognize that they made a mistake. And so what do? They're looking to call one on Toronto to even it up, to make up for it. And then, like I said, Holmberg gets beamed in the head by Seth Jones. Nothing. And then he goes, and then Panthers guy goes down a little soft, and Holmberg gets called for it. Then Holmberg got taken. He was getting bullied in this game, and it's really funny that the Panthers are choosing Pontus Holmberg as their punching bag because okay, sure, you can go after Pontus Holmberg. I mean, I love Pontus Holmberg,
I would rather him than anybody else on my team. Sorry.
Yeah, like if that's who you want, like, and I tweeted this out, but Seth Jones has quickly devolved into the guy that is getting away with the most infractions. And it's not even like he's so dirty. He's got these chicken wings out there. He's like slashing. No, he's genuinely just like ignoring the puck and mugging guys. There was a play on the sideboards where Seth Jones, he has access to the puck to clear it. And instead he drops his stick and puts Pontus Holmberg in a chokehold.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like Seth Jones, big trade deadline acquisition. He scored a goal in game 1. He's pretty good offensively. I'm not intimidated by him defensively at all, especially if he's going to do things like that. He will get called at some point in the series. And then there was another one where Nylander it was like a half breakaway, but he didn't have speed, so he didn't have the chance to skate in. Shoots it on Bob. Puck goes up, lands in front, and Holmberg again just gets completely dragged down, taken down, no call. The refs had just decided, and then there was another one, OEL. It might have been Samoskevich or something like that, where the puck is going out of the Leaf zone and OEL just, stands up, back reverse hit it with the puck nowhere near, and the rest didn't call it. So no idea why, but you lose control of the game, and all of a sudden everything starts to get out of hand. Like you talked about earlier, the crowd was losing their minds. Great energy in the SBA tonight, but yeah, not a great day for the refs.
Yeah. Really quickly, I do want to say we have so many people in the chat. Can we get a Go Leafs Go chant going in the chat? That would be wicked. Because that barn was absolutely pumping tonight. Like,
yeah.
And it all, essentially, the more the game went on, like, Joseph Woll makes a couple big saves and the crowd gets into it. And then it was like every hit the Leafs made, people were on their feet. Every time the refs missed a call, the Leafs were on their feet or the Leaf fans were screaming their faces off on their feet. And regardless of the fact that, they didn't get any penalties called, on behalf of the team, neither did the Panthers. Right? And so the refs tonight, like, there's essentially 3 penalties in favor of the Leafs, 2 penalties in favor of the Panthers, and no penalties in the last 30 minutes of the game.
Well, and I knew this would happen, but the Leafs got 3 power plays in the first, and they weren't going to get one in the rest of the game. Now, granted, the penalty infractions called on each team, like, they end up being 2-2, and then the Panthers take a puck over the glass, which is, you have, like, the refs have no choice. You tie their hands. So, in terms of, like, it didn't benefit anyone in this game. Like, the actual, for as bad as the reffing was, at least it was equal. In game 1, it was bad, but it was a little in the Leafs' favor because they ended up getting more power plays. So I couldn't complain about it. But the same thing here. We can complain about it because it didn't impact the final score, and the Leafs won. So we don't sound like crybabies when we do it.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if how the penalties are called in game 3. Despite the fact that there
Florida.
was. Yeah, it'll be interesting, and that, considering the fact that there's no penalties called, the whistles are put away for the last 30 minutes of the entire game today. The game, yes, it gets rough, but I was glad to see that no one else got hurt. Like, I'm not even going to say it because there's still lots of hockey left. You can't win a series with only 2 wins. The Leafs have to get 2 more in order to make it into the Eastern Conference Final. I do think, and we said this at the beginning of the stream, I do think that if the Leafs get past Florida, whoever they face is going to rue the day that they decided to get to the Eastern Conference Final, because I think that Leafs after the first series went against the Sens were feeling good, and if they come out and defy the odds and are able to squeak out another couple wins against the Panthers and move on to further than they've been, in the last 20 years. Do you want to be on the receiving end of that train?
Well, and it's not even that. Like, look at the Metro teams. You have Carolina, the PDO merchants, or not PDO, though that's Washington. You have the expected goals merchants in Carolina who just pump outside shots from everywhere, which is literally, like, if Carolina and Toronto match up, there will be, like, the shot attempts every game will be like 100-20 for Carolina, but then the score will be, like, the Leafs will probably win just because they actually get quality chances. And then Washington are the PDO merchants, where they are just shooting, like, the lights out, but Carolina steals game 1. I do think Carolina will probably come out of that series. But the Panthers, for my money, were the best team remaining, at least in the Eastern Conference. And so if Toronto comes out of that, then they are the de facto new number 1 in the East. But barring injuries, I feel fantastic about how the Leafs match up with both Metro teams. And I would also feel fantastic about how Florida matches up with both Metro teams.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see if the way the penalties are called continues to decline in terms of consistency as the series goes on. Like we said, we're only at game 2 here, guys. Like, this could go in well into the end of next week. So let's not put the cart before the horse here. But you have to.
You think?
Sorry, go ahead.
Matthew Tkachuk. You think he's going to be quiet on that front all series? You think Sam Bennett's going to be quiet after a quiet game 2? You think Marchand isn't going to keep this up?
Yep. It's going to be hard.
Come on.
But again, like Matt's, where are we here? Like Terry in the chat said, Leafs have to play shift by shift and give it 100% every time. Yeah, man, and they did tonight. They did tonight. And if they can keep playing like that, and they can make Marchand go, wow, they're capitalizing on every opportunity, that's what you need. You're not going to get
Matthew, too. Matthew in the chat, too. Roll with the punches and don't get caught giving one back in the ribs. 100%. Absolutely.
Yep. No stupid penalties. The Leafs didn't take any dumb penalties tonight, really. It was nice to see.
No. I thought Lawton took... I thought he was about to get a good... That was a boarding. I don't know why they called it roughing, but that whole sequence is weird. He should have got one for the hit on Rodriguez, but hey, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well. They probably should have got one, and the Panthers probably should have got one for the amount of times that Pontus Holmberg got beamed in the head, So we'll see. So let's move over into the third period here. We are at 47:30. Okay, so we're gonna do your questions over in the overtime period in just a couple of minutes here, but really quickly. So going into Florida, okay, Zach, What are you most worried about, and what are you least worried about?
Ooh, I'm most worried that the Leafs' top power play unit just doesn't have an answer for an aggressive penalty kill like the Florida Panthers have. I'm worried about the zone entries. I'm worried about Marner, Nylander, and Matthews taking too long to get plays going once they are set up. And I'm just worried that they are going to get skunked, quite frankly. Least worried about? Oh man, I don't even know. Like, I want to say the 5-on-5 play, but obviously that's going to ebb and flow based on the forecheck. So I'm going to take the cop-out answer and say the McCabe-Tanev pairing.
Good answer. Yeah, I don't think that's a cop-out. I think that's a smart answer. McCabe-Tanev has been an unbelievable pair, and they, like...
one of the best shutdown pairings in the league.
Yeah, and they're only getting better, man. And, like, so in terms of my answers for the question that I just gave you, the thing that I'm actually worried about the least is the goaltending. Despite the fact that our number one starter got concussed and taken to the hospital on a fucking stretcher the other night. He was released that night. He was at the team breakfast the next day. We know that it was reported yesterday and today that he does not have a stall in the Leafs locker room, which means he is out for probably, I'd guess at least another couple. Yeah, at least a couple more games, depending on how long the series goes. But you know, coming in behind him is Joseph Woll, and then Matt Murray behind him. Now, it has been a long time since Matt Murray played a playoff game in the NHL, but did you see on the broadcast, Joseph Woll makes this unbelievable save, and he goes over, and Matt Murray is like, ooh!
Absolutely hilarious, man.
Yeah.
He is funny.
What a good cheerleader to have, too, you know? Like, you got a guy on the bench that's actually, like, won a Stanley Cup and everything, and even though he didn't play in the series.
Compared to Dennis Hildeby, who was like, am I going to have to go in here? It's like, do I have to play? Like, yeah, Matt Murray, he's been around the block. If he has to go in, whether or not he's good or not, that's a different issue. At least he'll be calm and, like, poised. I do think regardless, if you, like... The Leafs have an incredible luxury of having two number one goalies, two top 15 to 20 goalies in the league. Unbelievable luxury. If both go down, you're probably expecting bad things to happen anyways, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that, you know, based on the fact that despite the fact that nothing came out of it, I do think that the league has sort of felt like it got pantsed with the whole Stolars getting hurt and nothing happening. And I think that they are doing everything they can to avoid it happening again to the Leafs, because
well, if it happens twice, then they're going to be like, well, now we have to do something.
Referees will literally not be able to park underground because someone will slash their tires. Not me, just to be clear, but someone will.
So, yeah. I do want to say, Mark, pointing this out, 34 is about to go on an absolute rip. You could take it to the bank. If there's another answer that we didn't say for most worried about, Austin Matthews. We said it on after game one. You're going to get that many chances. You got to bury them. Austin Matthews, he's been fantastic defensively and on the penalty kill. He's been fantastic in the faceoff dot. He even had almost a fantastic assist where he just ducks through a Barkov hit to a mini 2-on-1, and Sam Reinhart makes an unbelievable back-checking play to stop Marner from getting a shot off. At some point, your $13.25 million superstar captain is going to have to score some goals. And I'm a little worried that he might not have the sauce right now.
So earlier you brought something up, and I was gonna say something, but then you were on a roll, so I let you go.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It happens. I understand. Do you remember what happened in the first round?
Define what happened.
To Austin Matthews. Do you remember what happened?
How he scored 2 goals?
No, do you remember the fact that he took a slap shot off the inside of his hand?
Yeah, but and look, I get that, but
I just
if he's healthy enough to play, he has to be healthy enough to contribute offensively.
Sure, and I agree. But I do think the fact that it is his lower hand is a contributing factor. He has still made good plays. Yes, he needs to capitalize. Yes, he needs to bury. The Leafs are still winning games, and it seems like at different times so far in all these series, people have come up unexpectedly. I expect more out of the captain of my team. I am happy to admit that. And I think he would agree. I think if you were to go ask him, he would agree.
He's playing very good. If he was an $8.5-9 million player, fantastic. Yeah. You're getting absolutely great value out of that. He's the highest paid player in the league this season. And counterpoint, Nyes also took a shot off the hand/wrist
That's true.
in the first round, and he looks fine. Like you're not 100%. No one's 100%.
Yeah.
It's the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, you're right.
No one goes into rounds 2, 3, and 4 of the playoffs and is like, man, this is the best hockey I've ever watched. No, it's a slog. It's a war. It's a battle of attrition. So if he's not 100% and the shot's not there, fine. You got to find other ways to create. Like, you are the best goal scorer in the world because you could score in so many creative ways. One of those ways, well, I'll say the one-timer especially is maybe not there. Okay. Go to the net more.
Yeah.
Get deflections. Be in around the net. Get in the muck. I'm not saying he's bad. He's been playing good, but as Music for Al says, he looks like he's gripping his stick a little too tight, tentative. And honestly, I know Marner scored. Marner, I think, has looked a little bit like that too. Both of those guys, I expect more from offensively.
Yeah. Well, and Matthew in the chat just commenting as well. Matthew's missed another open net. Doesn't give me it's from the other side of the ice. That's the third liner excuse. He wasn't being pressured. Yeah. I do think that it is a concern, but they're still winning. If they lose, it will be a bigger problem.
Yeah, of course.
And I do think he's gonna play well in the series, and I think that if they're gonna continue to play as well as they are, that he has to score some offense because
what a luxury
Max
too.
Pacioretty can't do it all.
Well, like you're winning games with your two highest paid your two highest producing offensive players being just okay
Mediocre.
Offensively, great defensively, mediocre offensively, still playing good overall, but we expect more from them. But at the same time, Nylander for Conn Smythe might sprinkle a little bit on that.
Wow. You're looking that far ahead, eh? I'm like, I just need to make it to Friday. Okay, well, let's move over into the overtime period. Make sure you get your questions and make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. If you joined us midstream, welcome. My name is Lauren. This is Zach, and you're watching Game Over Toronto. Thank you for being here. We have loved having you here, and boy, is it good to feel this good being up 2-0 in the second round. First time for me on Game Over. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get to some questions here in the chat. We had all kinds of people saying "Go Leafs, go." We had a couple of new people saying "Let's fucking go." Thank you all for being here. The Leafs put their sushi rolls on the table tonight. The Savvy meter is awesome during the intermission. What do you think of the Savvy meter? I think it's a bit silly.
Oh, I love it. It's fun. Like I think it's fun. Like, dude, the Sportsnet broadcast is so bad. Let them have one.
Fair. Jeff Roberts in the chat, they made the Panthers look like a regular-ass team. Haven't seen this Leafs team do that before. I agree, Jeff. They made them look... Yeah. They made them look human. They didn't... They made them look less like the Florida Panthers than the Florida Panthers have looked in the last 3 years.
Yep.
What a time to be alive. Matthew's been showing up defensively, just not able to finish his shots. Yeah. One name we didn't hear much, Matthew Tkachuk, -2, no points. Oh no! Would you look at that?
I'm not poking that.
No,
any more than I already have.
No. And if
he's clearly hurt.
Sure. And if the Leafs go up 3-0 in the series, and in game 4 are up 6-0, and with 5 minutes left, they start saying Brady's better, I will join in that chant, but not before then. For the love of God. With the Leafs up 2-0, they now go back home and play in front of the real fans.
We'll see how many snowbirds get out for this series.
Yeah.
Man.
Mark Daigle in the chat. Welcome back, Mark, as always. Chiefs Leafs ain't Keefs Leafs. Let's go. I couldn't agree more, man. What a juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Music for Al, of course. Welcome back, Al. All those absolute penalties that weren't called in the second period, too many to call, so the refs put their whistles away, which made it even more out of control for the rest of the game. Go Leafs, go. So many Go Leafs, go chats in the chat tonight. That's so nice to see.
Love it, man.
Yeah. Oh. What a time to be alive. Carolina had over 100 shot attempts against the Caps. Golly.
And it went to overtime, man. What a stupid series that is.
Oh, man. Yeah. It's exciting. It's very exciting. It's
something.
Yeah. And I mean, is there anything else that you want to talk about, Zach?
I'll give you one question to close this out.
Hit me.
Have you ever felt this good about a Leafs team in your lifetime?
Like in terms of belief that they can go far, or in terms of my depth of love?
The belief that they can go far.
No, not since I was like 4, and there was a missed call. like at no point. I don't even want to say in my whole life, but like since I started really focusing on hockey when I was like around 16, so that's what 2004, 2005. I haven't had anything that has given me reason to believe the way that I have. And in fairness, like 2 days ago, man, someone that I work with was like, "What do you think is going to happen?" And I was like, "Honestly, I want the Leafs to win, and I would bet Panthers in 7." And I was wrong, and I will be the first person to admit that.
Hey, that is still very much in play. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It is still a possibility. But the way that I thought the Leafs were going to play against Florida, I really thought that they were going to give them a little bit of run for their money. I didn't think that they were going to dominate the way they've been able to. And that's on me.
I wouldn't say they've even been dominating. I think they're just winning. And that's
all that matters. In the moments that they've had to. They've come up big. They haven't bent them over a barrel or anything. But
yeah, I'd be a little less liberal with the use of the word dominant, but look, they are playing very well, and this is the best they've looked 5-on-5 against Florida in like 3 years, since before Paul Maurice was in Florida. So it's great to see that the Leafs have come up with the game plan. Curious to see how the Panthers will adjust, and curious to see what the Panthers look like at their most desperate in a must-win Game 3 for them.
Yeah. There's one question in the chat here, Matthew. Do you think Willie takes his suit that he wore to Game 6, Game 1, and tonight to Florida? You have to now.
You're not allowed to get... That's the only suit you're allowed to walk in the rest of the playoffs. I don't care. Every game.
Yeah. Yeah, don't wash them either. You must retain all of the playoff magic. We were all thinking Panthers in 7, but Leafs trail all the way. It might still be Panthers in 7, but they aren't trailing yet. Yes. Terry, Jets
and you know what?
1-0. Yeah, there's lots of playoff to go, man.
Well, there's so many people though. Like, this is the big thing: is the Leafs beat Ottawa, and a lot of them were casual fans and trolls online, but so many people that don't like the Leafs were picking the Panthers in 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
A lot of you gotta start paying attention to how good this Leafs team is.
Yeah. They're giving the Panthers a run for their money in a way that I don't think anyone was expecting.
They might do more than that, too.
What a time to be alive. I just, really quickly before we sign off here, thank you for being here on Game Over, first of all. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for all of the questions. Thank you for watching with us. Thank you for being a part of the show. If you're new here, welcome. We're glad that you've come. If you have been here 100 times before, then welcome back, my friend. So happy to have you. Zach, where can everybody find you on all the socials here, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube at ZachPayne41. Just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's been active in the chat. You guys make these post-game streams so much fun, and we love celebrating with you after every win, and we love commiserating with you after every loss.
Well, and let's hope that there's not too many of those in the Leafs' future. The Panthers certainly have a big task ahead of them. They essentially have to win 4 of the next 5 in order to stay alive. We know that they're going to come out with like an absolute bat out of hell on Friday, and I am excited for that. My name has been Lauren. You can find me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Lauren6. You can also follow all of the Game Over Network channels if you go down below. We have the Game Over Winnipeg and Game Over Edmonton. All of those teams are still alive and kicking. And of course, the Game Over Network main channel as well. They tweet out all of our streams and all of that. So if you could go give that main channel a follow as well on all of your social medias, it would go a long way. So thank you for being here. We can't wait to be back on Friday, hopefully talking about another big Leafs win. And so what a way to kick off the midweek. Leafs winning 4-3 in Toronto, taking the first 2 games at home against the Florida Panthers against all odds, and against the fact that they lost their starting goaltender, Joseph Woll, being a wonder wall and coming up big and keeping the Leafs in it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Again, if you could just hit like and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you back here on Friday. And one last time, if you're watching or listening and there are children in your car, you're going to want to hit mute because let's
Hopefully.
fucking go, baby. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Go, Leafs, go.
Let's fucking go!
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Game
I'm
over,
sorry.
Toronto,
Go Leafs, go.
everybody. See you on Friday.